Let's start with the next control statement called the break statement. So give the heading number 3 break, and you can just write refer PN again. Everything is there in your printed notes, nothing to be written in notebook. Okay, now I'm sure you have studied the break statement even in C language in your earlier semester. But in Java, there is something called labeled break and labeled continue. See this, labeled break, labeled continue. So before we understand what is labeled break, labeled continue, we need to understand the normal break and continue. Okay. So let's do a simple example program to understand how the break statement works. Okay. Don't copy all this. It's there in your printed notes. Now over here, what I suggest is pause the video and quickly go through this code. Come on, do that, and then we'll study the output. Okay, so I hope you saw all this. So there is a class called break1, inside which we have the void main, a declaration I, a declaration for integer variable I, and then we have this for loop in which we are interested. The for loop starts here and ends here. Now tell me one thing, how many statements are there in the for loop? There are two statements. Pay attention to the indentation. Indentation means pushing on the right side. So in the for loop there are two statements. If is statement number 1, this SOP system.out.print is statement number 2. Okay. How many statements are there under if? There is one statement, and that is break. So break is under if and if is under for. Okay. Now what I will do is I'll tell you a little about break. After that, you again pause the video and try figuring out what the break statement will do. So listen carefully. The first thing is that a break statement must be written inside a loop or inside a switch. So don't forget, for is a loop, and that is why we are writing the break statement over here. So the break statement must be written inside loop or inside switch, not otherwise. Now what the break statement will do is, when the break statement executes, it terminates the for loop. It terminates the loop in which it is there. So the break statement, when it executes, it terminates the loop. Now pause the video, try figuring out the output. Okay, now I'll explain you the output. Pay good attention over here. We are going to do at least 5 or 6 output questions over here, and every output question will be a superset of the earlier one. So this means that if you understand this one, I'll call this one as break 1. I'll call this example as break 1. So if you understand the example break 1, then you will understand break 2 easily. Okay, if you understand break 2, you will understand break 3 easily. So pay good attention. Now what will happen over here is, now you know how this for loop works. Okay, now ignore all these inside things, ignore all this, and tell me over here, under normal circumstances, I will take values from where to where? So I will take values from 1 to 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 till 10, okay, under normal circumstances. Now we'll not go into the details of this for loop because you know how the for loop works, okay. Now when I is equal to 1, compiler comes down over here, it checks this condition I modulus 3 is equal to 0. Now I is 1, what is 1 modulus 3? 1 modulus 3 is 1. In modulus operation, if the first operand is lesser than the second operand, the answer is the first operand. So it is 1. So now what happens is, this I modulus 3 is equal to 1, which is not equal to 0. So this condition is false. Okay, look at the mouse pointer. The condition is false. Because the condition is false, break will not execute. So nothing happens. This SOP will execute normally and it will display the value of I. Now what is the value of I? 1. Okay. Now also note one small simple thing. There is no ln over here. Normally we write print ln. So if ln is not there, then what will happen is the next output will come on the same line, not on the next line. Anyway, now the loop ends over here. Till here only 1 is displayed. Now the compiler goes back over here to I++. I takes the value 2. Now when I is equal to 2, come on, tell me quickly, what is 2 modulus 3? It is 2. Is it equal to 0? No, false. Break will not execute. SOP will display 2. So till here what is the output? 1, 2. Now again compiler goes over here. I takes the value 3. What is 3 modulus 3? 0. Is the condition true? Yes, it is true. Break will execute. When break executes, whom will it terminate? It will terminate this for loop, okay? So which means that this entire loop stops abruptly, okay? Everything stops inside this loop, and directly from here, look at the mouse pointer, directly from here, the compiler comes out of the loop. That means over here, okay? After that nothing is there, so the final output is 1 2. I hope you understood this. Now this example is already there in your printed notes over here, okay, over here. All right, so over here you can just write the output 1 2, okay. All right, if you want you can write any explanation in your own words if you wish to. Okay, so that was break 1 for you, okay. Now as I told you, every new example will be a superset of the earlier one. So now let's go to break 2. Again, pause the video, go through the example and try figuring out how many statements are there inside each other. Okay, so first let's figure out how many statements are there inside each other, okay. Now over here I am using a simple technique called nesting of for loop. Nesting means one inside another. So there is this for I loop which is in blue color. It starts here, ends here, okay. Inside the blue for I loop there are two statements. I repeat, two. This is statement number 2, this SOP statement number 2, and this entire for j loop is statement number 1. Now inside for j loop again two statements are there, this if and this SOP, okay. Now what I will do is I will dictate a note, okay. What you should do is you should copy this note over here, see, this is the same example. After you write the note, you will pause the video and you will try and write the output in your own words, okay. By the way, the output will depend on the note which you are going to write, okay. So let's write the note. You can write over here or you can write over here, anywhere. Come on, write, come on. The break statement can terminate only the innermost loop, and not the outer ones, The outer loop will execute normally. So this was the note, okay. Now pause the video, write the output. If you write correctly, good. If you make a mistake, very good. Because if you make a mistake, you will learn better. So write something, don't wait for me, write some output. Okay, so what was your output? Alright, let me show you the output first. It should have been this 1 2 hash 1 2 hash 1 2 hash. Tell me one thing, over here 1 2 hash came how many times? 3 times. So over here whatever I'll explain you once, that thing will actually take place 3 times, okay. So let's understand how it works. I'll give you only one explanation. I will explain you only one time, but the same thing will occur total 3 times, okay. So let's start. Now have a look at this loop. You know that this loop is going to work 3 times for I equal to 1, I equal to 2, I equal to 3. So in the beginning I will be equal to 1, okay. Now let's start. Now when I is equal to 1, compiler comes to for j loop and j also takes the value 1. Now compiler comes inside j loop. So inside j loop, this condition is very simple. Tell me true or false? False. Break will not execute. SOP j will display what? 1. So keep in your mind till here 1 is displayed. Okay. Now this is the brace of for I or for j loop? For j loop. So from here, look at the mouse pointer. From here the compiler goes to j++. J takes the value 2. Now when j is 2, again compiler comes inside for j. Okay. Now true or false? False. Break will not execute. SOP j will display 2. Now from here again compiler goes over here. Okay. Now j takes the value 3. Now when j is 3, again compiler comes inside. Is j equal to 3? Yes. So the break statement will execute. The moment break statement will execute, this for j loop will terminate. So see, this much part will terminate, this much. See where my mouse pointer is moving. Acha, by the way, what is the output till here? So it is 1, 2. Okay, don't forget it is 1, 2 till here. Now don't forget, after the for j loop, this SOP will execute. Don't forget, we are still inside the first execution of for I loop. So what this SOP will display? It will display hash. So till here we got the output 1, 2 hash, 1, 2 hash. Now this blue brace is the closing brace of the for I loop. So I go back over here. Alright. Now when I go back over here, I takes what value? I takes the value 2. Is 2 less than equal to 3? True. Again compiler comes inside the for I loop and the for j loop starts once again. Okay. Now the same procedure will repeat and again it will display 1, 2 hash. Again what will happen? I will take the value 3 and the same procedure will repeat again. So that's why you got the output 1, 2 hash, 1, 2 hash, 1, 2 hash. Now what I suggest is that you copy this output, and if you have already copied this output, do one thing. Below this output you write this way. See carefully what I am telling you. Under this 1, 2 hash, this much, you write I equal to 1. Then under this 1, 2 hash, you write I equal to 2. Under this 1, 2 hash, here, you write I equal to 3. Come on, do that. Okay. Now, as I told you, our main intention was to study the labeled break and labeled continue. So now let's try and understand what is this labeled break. Over here, I will tell you a few things, okay, which you will not understand right now. But very soon, I will take one example. After that, it will be very simple. Okay, so pay good attention. Now, the general format of a labeled break statement is this. It is break label. So this label is basically any name, Jack, Jill, Tim, anything. You can write break, Jack, break, Tim, anything. Now what happens is that this labeled break is always enclosed in a labeled block. I am sure you don't know what is a labeled block, but as I told you right now, just try to remember these points. So the labeled break is always enclosed in a labeled block, and when the labeled break executes, it terminates the labeled block. Moreover, for writing a labeled break, switch or loop is not required. Don't forget, for writing a normal break, you need a loop or a switch, but a labeled break can be written without a loop or switch. I am sure you didn't understand, so no problem. Now we'll do an example, and that example is here in your printed notes. This example, it is called break blocks. Okay. Now see. Now this is the example. Once again, you pause the video, you go through the example. But before you go through the example, I want to tell you the meaning of the word block. Block, okay. So what is a block? A block is a group of one or more statements enclosed in a pair of braces. I repeat, a block is a group of one or more statements enclosed in a pair of braces. Okay, so now do one thing. Go through this entire class and in your mind figure out that how many blocks are there in this entire program. Come on, pause the video and do that. Okay, so now tell me how many blocks are there in this entire program? 5 blocks. Okay, not 3, 5 blocks. Listen carefully. The first block starts here, second here, third here, fourth here and fifth here. So there are a total of 5 blocks over here, but some of you must be thinking that there are 3 blocks. What happens is, listen carefully, in this program there are 3 labeled blocks, and by now you must have understood what is a label, what is a labeled block. See, now before this green block, this one, the green block starts here and ends here. So before this green block, I wrote first and I gave colon. So first is the label of the green block, and the green block is now called labeled block. So tell me, what is the label of the blue block? Second. What is the label of the black block? third. Okay, so there are three labeled blocks. Now how they will work? Very simple. First of all, have a look at this if statement. If x break third. Okay, if x break third. Now basically over here I have not used indentation. Okay, we could have written this break third here also. See the mouse pointer properly here, here. Okay, because of lack of space I did not write the break third on the next line, but that's okay. So I could have written this way, if x, or let me show it to you. I could have written it this way. Look, if x, sorry, just a minute. Okay, so now I could have written it this way, if x, okay, and then I could have used some indentation. I could have used break third, break fourth, and so on. Alright, so look, now this will look bigger. Okay, so this is the way I could have written the if statement. Now whether I write this break third on the next line or whether I write it on the same line, it does not make a difference. Okay, alright, so you understood that. Now let's come to the actual explanation. Okay, so over here there are three statements. If x break third, if x break second, if x break first. Now let's see how this will work. Things are simple and interesting. Pay good attention. Now over here there is a boolean variable x which is equal to true. I have made it true. Okay, I could have made it false also, but I made it true. Now what will happen is the compiler will enter the first block. After that it will immediately enter the second block. After that it will immediately enter the third block. Now what this SOP will display? This SOP will display block 3 statement 1. So this is the output, block 3 statement 1. After that you have a statement if x break third. Now tell me x is true or false? It is true. Now because it is true, the break third will execute. By the way, I forgot to tell you, I assume that you will understand. This break third is a labeled break statement. So there is this break and this third is the label. So I hope you must have figured that on your own, that is break third is a labeled break statement. Anyway, so what I was saying is that this SOP will display block 3 statement 1. Now if x break third, this is the next statement. Tell me x is true or false? It is true. So now break third will execute. Now what break third will do, as we studied on the earlier screen, what break third will do is when the break statement executes, it terminates the labeled block. So break third will terminate this third block. So now tell me whether this SOP will execute or not. This one? No, it won't. From here, see the mouse pointer, the compiler will directly come out over here and will execute the next SOP. Now tell me what is the output. So it will display block 2 statement 1. See here. Come on, now I think it is simple for you. X is true or false? True. Break second will execute. It will terminate that block whose label is second. So the second block starts here, ends here. So from here the compiler directly comes over here. That means this SOP will be skipped. Come on, now I think it is simple. Tell me what will be the next output. Obviously this one, block 1 statement 1c. Okay, tell me true or false. True. Break first will execute. Tell me what will not be displayed. Block 1 statement 2. I am pretty sure you understood this. But now there is a property which you need to understand. Slightly tricky. Pay good attention. Okay. Now when you are using a labeled break, there is a restriction. Now what I will do is I will dictate that restriction. Okay, you copy that restriction in your printed notes. Do one thing, copy this output, okay, and also copy the restriction over here. Come on, pause the video and copy the output first. Okay, so I hope you copied the output. All right, now give the heading restriction and write whatever I am telling you. Come on, start writing. A labeled break must be written inside a block of the same label. A labeled break must be written inside a block of the same label. Otherwise, we will get syntax error. Okay, so I hope you wrote this. Now I have a question for you. Pay good attention and understand what I'm asking you. Okay, pay good attention. Now let's say over here instead of third I write second. Let's say I write this way, break second. Tell me, will this give us a syntax error? Come on. The answer is no, it won't. Why? Because when you write break second, don't forget this break second is still inside this second block, this block. Okay, let me ask you one more question and now you'll understand. Let's say over here, look here carefully, over here I write third. That means this will become break third. Now is this valid? No, it is not valid. If I write break third over here, this will produce a syntax error. Why? Because now this break third, if I write third over here, this break third is not inside the third block. So don't forget this restriction. A label break must be written, inside a block of the same label. Okay. So in your own words, if you want, you can write a note. That if we write second over here, it is valid. If we write third over here, it is invalid. Okay. Come on, do that.